you are here, Rasa the dancer. And yes, I do have a particular look today going on, and that is because I was teaching kids, and I just thought this kind of would be a appropriate look for the kids. And I thought, since I'm already dolled up for something, might as well make a video for you. Now this one will be my 5 tips for the dance teachers. Basically, it's the kind of tips that I think every teacher should know, but at the same time, I think it would be fantastic for the students to also know what the teacher should know, because that would bring a different expectation of what you have towards your teachers. So I think it's an overall good thing to discuss, and I think it should be out in the open, and here I am talking about it right now. So stick around, and also remember, subscription, it is what necessary for me to do what I do. Tip number 1, I'm sure most of us have heard it before, the saying that a good dancer doesn't mean a good teacher. That is true. You could be the best dancer in the world, but if you cannot use your vocabulary or intelligence to portray the skill that you have, then there's no good of us that you're so amazing if you cannot actually explain how for us to get where you are. A lot of amazing dancers dance from really little age, and some of their knowledge is based on intuition. It's something that happens naturally to them, hence why they never learn how to actually explain it in detail. So for the people who don't get it naturally, they need more substance, and they don't necessarily are able to give that education properly. Does that make sense? So a good dancer is definitely not necessarily a good teacher, but that doesn't mean that a bad dancer can be a teacher. Now, when I say a bad dancer, I mean, a teacher who dances at the level of their students. I mean, you want your students to become better than you, but if everybody around you is better than you, there's a problem. Now, what do I mean by that? I am a true believer that if you cannot physically do a specific move, you can be the best at explaining detail of it, because you might be very analytical, you know why it's done, you know all of the information, and you can explain the information fantastic, and the people will be able to get the information. But you never knew what it feels like to do that move. A lot of the times, technique is not enough. We learn technique, but then as dancers, we incorporate that technique to our bodies, and then every little bit feels different. And that's how we basically adapt the technique to our bodies, and it kind of becomes slightly different with each person. That the body is the same, so you would be able to teach it if you know what is supposed to be done in that particular scenario. But if you have never done it before, technically to a really advanced level, you never knew what it feels like. And that is the constant battle I have with talking to other teachers, is that, like, they always say, you don't have to be the best dancer to be a really good teacher. Absolutely true. You can be the best teacher and not the best dancer, but you cannot teach what you have never felt. You can explain it and teach it to a particular level, but then you should always mention it. This is what I know works, but in order for you to find out for yourself, you have to either try yourself or go to somebody who is an expert at that particular skill. So we can provide the information, but if you have never felt what it's like to do that particular move or a spin or something, I don't think you can teach that to the best level. So you don't have to be the best dancer, but you kind of have to know how to dance really good to teach. Tip number 2 for the teachers, figure out why you are teaching. A lot of the times, we decide to teach for our ego and not for the people. I am not the one who will preach what is right or wrong. I lived a very particular, difficult life to know better than to tell anybody what is right or wrong or what they should or should not do. But I'm just saying that sometimes if you teach because of the ego, of the fame, of the people love for you, of the instant gratification, of all of those things that boost your ego, then you're gonna lose a very particular thing that sometimes that the teachers who do it for the passion have, and that is basically it's a service for the people. And if you don't have that, you need to think about what other things you would rather do. Maybe don't do very important classes. Maybe do something like big workshops when there's loads of people and you just go and you show off and you tell, people how you do it, and that's it. But if you have a class where it really matters for them to get the knowledge, but you don't really care, find other ways to do your teaching so that you wouldn't be actually putting people off or not inspiring somebody who you think is not worthy. That's basically my point. For example, I have a huge ego. That is the truth. My ego is huge. And I'm sure in some horrible way, I am doing this for the ego. But so happened that I was tricked in teaching by accident. And I actually cannot do anything that is not for the people. I would get rash. Just thinking about it, I think I'm getting a little bit red. I can't. The idea of not doing something for the people, because I'm here to teach for the people that are there, it puts me off. So, but I feel like I found my purpose in life, and I really, that's what gives me the hype. I think it's just really tip number 2 is like really to understand whether you're doing for this or for that. None of it is wrong or right. It's just different things and different responsibilities comes with different sides. And there's different things you can do with different sides. So don't pretend to be this if you're this. If you're this, you have other things there to explore. If you're this, don't worry about what this one is doing. It's not your lane. Focus on other things where you can do this. Does that make sense? I think it does. Okay, tip 3, positive environment. You as a teacher, you need to create a positive environment. Now, positive environment doesn't mean there has to be all rainbows and butterflies. You don't need to pretend that you're a person who is really soft and no matter what you do is always good enough. I'm not like that. I come from Lithuania and I was born in a time when we just came out of Soviet Union, and I have a particular upbringing. I was raised in schools where basically do this because I tell you so. So I am not a butterfly. You know what I'm saying? But I believe in that you have to create an environment where people can push themselves to the limit but want to do it. That's what positive environment is for me. Everybody's different. We have so many different styles and so many different approaches. People will find their place. But no matter what, as a teacher, your job is to create an environment where people want to learn because they are grown-ups. If you're teaching kids, it's a different subject because their mind is not formed yet. They are very infatuated. They pick up things like this, everything around you, what you say matters. But when you're teaching grown-ups, they're there by choice. They choose to be there. So you can push them. You can be the hardcore teacher who nothing is ever good enough. But you have to make them want to be there. That's what positive environment is for me. Is to make sure that they understand. It's like, is this good enough? No. But can I see an improvement? Yes. And even if there's no improvement, the fact that I see you working so hard already is a huge thing. So it's just a matter of time when you're going to get there. Any sort of situation that encourage people to stay and want to dance, which is all about we want people to dance. That's what is our job as a teacher, besides the actual teaching that technique. Tip number 4 is a quick one. Teach what you know. A lot of the people think that because other teachers are teaching some other stuff, that other teachers are supposed to teach those things that other teachers are teaching. But you should only teach what you know. If you want to teach more, you should learn and master that skill, and then you can teach it. But a lot of the times, people just teach it because they've heard about it and they tried it a few times, and they think because it worked out that they can teach it. Oh, it's like, I don't understand it. I only gonna teach what I know. And if I know I'm not the expert, like if I don't have full confidence that I really know it, then I will much rather invite a guest teacher or send my students to the other teacher who is an expert at that particular thing. If I've never tried a particular styling, then I will not teach it unless I master it on my own and I go to other classes and myself and I master it and I know how to do it, then I will teach it. But if you don't know how to do it, just don't teach it. Don't be greedy. If you let students go, they will come back because they will appreciate your honesty and they will appreciate what you stand for. They will know what they're coming back to. But don't hold on to your students and pretend you know everything. Nobody knows everything. So my tip number 4, teach what you know. You can't go wrong. And finally, tip number 5, dance with your students. I don't care what kind of dance you dance, salsa, bachata, kizomba, which is more partner work, or you dance hip hop. There is a way to communicate with your students and to connect with them. And one of the ways is to dance with them. Don't just go to the class, teach, and abandon them. Stay, have a dance, show them again, maybe do a little battle, maybe a little freestyle, depending what dance you dance. But if you are a teacher, your job, whether you want it or not, it goes beyond the class. I don't say you need to sacrifice your blood and, your health. But I mean, just stay a little bit, a few minutes, and just invest a little bit of extra time to give them that attention, to have a dance with them and show them the steps again. And that changes everything. Remember, you hold a responsibility to provide the service as a teacher. Teacher means something. I think it's a very important word, and we should bring some honor to it. Is that a little bit too much? I understand that this is kind of a sensitive subject. I'm kind of, it might seem like I'm ranting. I'm not ranting. I'm just saying something that I think sometimes has to be said. But please give some comments if you completely disagree with my 5 points for the teachers, or if you have some other points you'd like to mention. Let's keep this conversation going. I think we sometimes just let certain things slide, and I make this video and it's a reminder for myself what is the things that I would like to carry as a teacher myself, and hopefully it will be a reminder for somebody else, and maybe somebody else will just say, I don't care. Well, then I don't care as well. But if you care, leave a comment, subscribe, and of course you have a bell to ring to be notified for more videos. Guys, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be back very soon.